In the previous movie, we saw a very powerful keyboard shortcut or hotkey, which is wireframe toggle. If I click in my perspective view here and press F3, I switch between the wireframe override and the user-defined or standard mode. So that's a very important one, F3. And there's one that's very similar or allied with that, which is edged faces you'll use a lot. So if you're in a shaded mode with F3, also press the F4 key and you'll see wireframe superimposed on the surfaces, and that's known as edged faces mode. Turn that back off again with F4. Another very important keyboard shortcut is to maximize the current viewport panel. And you can do that from the icon at the extreme lower right corner. And it's called Min-Max Viewport Toggle or Maximize Viewport Toggle. So you can click on that and it will maximize the currently selected viewport. But you'll save a lot of time by memorizing the keyboard shortcut, which is Alt-W. So I'll be using that throughout the course, Alt-W to maximize or minimize a viewport. The other important viewport commands all have keyboard shortcuts that you really need to memorize and just get motor memory with so that you don't have to think about it. First is panning in the view, or moving left to right or up and down, and that is the middle mouse button. Hold down the middle mouse button and drag left to right or up and down. And on most mice nowadays, that's a wheel. So if you press the wheel down, you'll get the middle mouse button. And that is pan or truck or pedestal. And if you hold down Shift while you do it, you can constrain the movement to one axis. So I hold down Shift and drag left to right, or hold down Shift and drag up and down with the middle mouse button. The wheel itself is the dolly or zoom tool. So if I rotate the mouse wheel, I'll zoom in and out in increments. Well, that's not always very accurate. You might need to do it more finely. And so there's a keyboard shortcut to dolly or zoom with high precision, and that is Control, Alt, and middle mouse button all at once. And you'll notice that when you use this keyboard shortcut, Control, Alt, middle mouse, you'll get a little green sphere, and that indicates the point to which you're going to dolly. All right. If we go back to our 4 viewport layout with Alt-W, if I do Control, Alt, middle mouse in an orthographic view, I can zoom in and out in 2 dimensions. Likewise, I can use the wheel to zoom in and out in the ortho views. Back to the perspective view, click there, maximize it with Alt-W. The other keyboard shortcut you need to memorize is Orbit, and that is Alt and middle mouse button. So if nothing is selected and you hold down Alt and middle mouse, you will orbit or tumble around the origin of the world. If you select an object, like that dodecahedron object there, and then Alt and middle mouse, then you'll see we can orbit or tumble around that object or around this monitor. All right, that's cool. So those are viewport navigation. So it's all about the middle mouse button. Middle mouse alone by itself is pan or truck or pedestal. Alt and middle mouse is orbit or tumble. Control, Alt, and middle mouse is dolly or zoom. And finally, the transforms of position, rotation, and scale all have standardized keyboard shortcuts as well. So if I select an object, I can enter into the Move tool using the W key. And now I've got the Move tool active. I can switch to the Rotate tool with the E key. Now I've got the Rotate manipulator. Undo that. The R key is Scale. Undo that as well. Control Z to undo. And the Q key on the keyboard is the Select tool. Q for Select. So Q, W, E, and R are the most important keyboard shortcuts for the main toolbar. Q is Select, W is Move, E is Rotate, and R is Scale. And finally, if you want to zoom in on an object, the keyboard shortcut for that is Z. Not Control Z, that's undo, and not Shift Z, that's undo viewport move, but just Z by itself. So if I select an object like that plant and press the Z key, then I'll zoom in on that object. If I have nothing selected, if I just click on a wall here, which is frozen, and I can't actually select that. So I click on nothing and press Z, then I'll zoom out to enclose the entire world. All right, those are the most important keyboard shortcuts for viewport navigation and object manipulation.